It's a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, and this is a 9mm. They've made 4 changes. They talk about quite a bit. You get 4 different little backstrap things. They redid the grip, made it a little grippier. I guess they got tired of seeing people's crappy stippling jobs, and decided that wasn't necessary. The mag release does switch to both sides. They don't really talk about that. They talk about the trigger being improved, and the trigger is improved to a degree. There's about an inch of travel, or I'm sorry, about a ½ inch of travel rather, before you get to where you actually have to start pressing the trigger. So you've got an inch, or a ½ inch rather, of basically play before the trigger will go. There is a bit of a grit to this little piece right here, and the trigger is kind of articulated. I don't remember if that was on the first one or not, but the trigger does sort of articulate. The trigger pull, once you get it to where it's ready to break, you've got about 6 pounds or so. It goes back about another 1/4 of an inch, so you get about a 3/4 of an inch travel the entire way. Once it's all the way back and the action cycles, it resets with an audible click, and you can feel it as well. And then the trigger goes off. So that's one of their big things. The other big thing is they talk about that they've changed the frame, that there's some steel in here, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Weirdest takedown I've ever seen, and they do this because they don't want you to just flip this lever here and then let the slide go and pull the trigger. They wanted to get away from that. I guess some police departments are complaining. So down here at the bottom, you take out this little tool, and then you come into here and you find the sear lever right here. You push that down using this little tiny tool. There's a little tiny lever in there. I'm not sure if that's going to show up or not. Then you flip the little lever, release the slide, and he comes right off. It seems a long way to go around the world instead of just pulling the trigger and then pulling the slide off, but so be it. The little piece of metal they're talking about is indeed a very little piece of metal. It's very thin. So I don't know what this is really adding in terms of rigidity, but Smith & Wesson seems to be awfully proud of it. I thought with this little black thing here that's what it was, but that's not it at all. In fact, the black plastic or whatever it is comes through on the other side. But there is a little piece of metal in here. It's very, very thin. Assembling, just basically just do the opposite. The magazine catch is reversible. I don't believe the same is true of the slide release, and no, I can see it's not. And then you just got to remember to put your little tool back in here. Again, that's just sort of an odd way of doing that. Anyway, haven't shot this yet. I've got 17 rounds loaded up. It comes with a pair of 17-round mags. The mags have little counters, odds on one side, evens on the other. That's kind of handy, I guess. I got a steel target set up here, and we will see how we do and how the gun does. Haven't shot it, so brand new to me. Feels pretty nice. The recoil is real manageable. It does come right back to point of aim. And then the trigger is much better than they were. That's not to say it's a great trigger if you have an Apex or something like that. In an older M&P, I would hang on to it because you might want to put it into here. Some of the Apex triggers I've seen are at least better, or at least as good as this, if not better. Oh yeah, and I did get the one with the manual safety on it. So, not bad. The gun works as intended. The first 34 rounds there. No failures to feed, no failures to fire or function or anything like that. Eject. This is just Federal cheap 9mm 115 grain ammunition. So far, initial impressions are pretty good. It seems to be a pretty solid gun. I like the sights on this one. It does have a load chamber indicator right here. That pops up, so you have a physical indicator as well, kind of like the XDs do. So that was a nice touch for them to add if you were going to use this as your home defense gun. The Desert, the FDE, they don't quite match up, but I think that's intentional. But if you're looking for a high-capacity 9mm and you want not a double action or not a single action, you want one of the striker-fired guns, this one may be something to consider. I mean, it comes with the rail, it comes with the safety. You know, you do get a couple of mags, you do get 4 different choices of back straps, and those back straps are really easy to take off and put on. So, you know, it's easy enough to figure out which one fits your hand while you're shooting. So, anyway, this is the M&P 2.0.